OKS Youth Ministry Podcast, where 3 of the OKS Youth Ministers talk about youth ministry. I'm Michael Deese, and I'm joined by Jeremy Crow in a remote location and Hunter Puckett at Exposure with me.
I wish you would have said
fellas?
an undisclosed
Very excited to be
location.
here.
In an undisclosed location.
Undisclosed location. We're not sure exactly where Jeremy is, but I'll tell you where he's not, and that's Exposure Youth Camp.
That's right. Yeah, and he should be. He should be here.
But I hear,
Right.
I hear next year he will be.
Ah, that'd be cool. If he is, that'd be awesome.
I did.
Hey,
announce that
I
today.
want to just come out and just say, hey, we're a part of the Ministry League experience. It's official. We've made it to the big times, boys. We've made it to the big times. I want to thank Ministry League for letting us be a part of their thing, and it's a really cool deal. What do you think about it?
It's awesome. And if you have not downloaded the Ministry League app, please go download that. There are a lot of really good resources for churches and youth ministers. They have a songbook where you can go through and pick out songs.
I use it every day almost.
There are a lot of podcasts. I'm not sure exactly how many. There's 64 podcasts on there that you can listen to that are all very good and Christ-centered. And I love that part about it.
They're about to pick up another one. Really
No,
good
they
one.
already did.
Yeah, they
It's
did.
official. We're on the
Yeah,
second
dude.
line of their things,
Yeah, we
dude.
got the second line. It's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
We're not top line yet. Maybe one day we'll get
We're
there.
working on it.
Yeah, we'll get there
Top
one
tier.
day. Yeah.
Hey.
So we wanted to talk about the things that we're doing, like the events and things that we're doing. So I wanted to start us off by asking, what has been your favorite camp memory, Jeremy? Your favorite camp memory? I need to know. Come on.
Okay. All right. You want a serious one, or do you want to?
I want your
humor?
favorite, whether it's serious
Okay.
or
All
not.
right. All right. So
I'll be serious. You
this
do
has
your
been probably
You do you,
15
bro.
years ago. 15 years ago, we're at a camp. I won't say which camp or who was involved, but we're at a camp.
It's Maywood Christian
And-
Camp.
Okay. And there's a boy that's come to talk to
Yeah,
some of
his
the
name is
counselors.
I'm just kidding.
No,
I'm
no,
just
no.
kidding.
He comes to talk to some of the counselors, and he's talking about the things that teenage boys are talking about that they're struggling with. And so we're talking with them, counseling, and it ends up through the conversation, through the night, he decides it's time to get baptized. That he's
yeah.
at that place, he wants to make that step. And so that's awesome. And so we go, the counselors, the director, all go down to the pool, and we go down into the water, and he, does a confession. He dips him back, puts him under the water, and the kid comes up, and he kind of looks down at himself, checks out his hands and his arms and his face, looks around. He goes, "Nope, it didn't work."
Oh no.
To which another one of my youth ministers at the time said, "Well, take him off the diving board then."
off the top ropes. Let's get it.
And
It would have been
And I
even better
love-
if they would have just dunked him again. What about that time?
Yeah, did they dunk
I
him
lo-
again,
I
or
love
did
that.
they stop right there?
Was that it?
We
They
got
just-
if I remember right, we got out of the pool and we had some more in-depth conversations.
Okay. Okay.
But
I wish
but
you would
I
have
just-
just been like, all right, let's try again. Boom.
I just love that. I love the no, it didn't work.
Oh, that's good. That's
just
good.
Immediate evaluation. So
Man, I had I'll tell mine next, and then we'll end with the serious one.
Yeah, we'll do that.
So I was at the same camp, and me and Trey Durden are teaching a Bible class. It was either 8-year-olds or 9-year-olds, I don't remember, but for whatever reason, me and Trey, this is actually not the craziest thing that's happened, because another one that involves Trey Durden and 8 and 9-year-olds is but we were teaching the 8 and 9-year-old class, and we were like, they were saying like, so how does Jesus and how does God know when we're doing something good and when we're doing something bad? And I was like, he's always there. He's always with you. And even when you're in a bad, hard time, he's there for you, And he was like, the kid raised his hand. I was like, yeah. He said, like, is he always there? And I was like, yeah, he's always there. He's always watching, always, and he like goes, so like, does he watch me take showers?
He's very sincere with that question.
Yeah,
too.
very
Like, he
sincere. He
means
was like,
this.
and I was like, no, he closed his eyes during that part.
that's awesome.
We just continued on with class. It was awesome. It was really
You're
good.
like not skipping a beat, just go to the
Yeah,
part.
yeah. We just went.
no,
All right, so moving on.
I love that. My favorite experience is actually before I became a youth minister, it was actually here at Exposure Youth Camp. Something really cool about Exposure Youth Camp is we have what's called team time, and all the kids are broken up into different teams, and different youth ministers and leaders are over those teams. And Michael's a team leader this year.
Yeah, it's
for the
awesome.
first time. Have you really gotten to experience it? But my first year, I had Dr. Eric Farmer, and he's actually a professor at Freed Hardman, and he was my team leader. And just the closeness that he had our team at by the time we left, and he kept up with us, and we had this little like group text message, and to this day, once a year before Exposure Youth Camp, he will send out a message to a handful of us, and we still respond.
Who was it?
Eric Farmer.
Awesome. He's
And
the man, dude.
he's awesome.
I love it.
Even like to this day, and that was 2013, 2014 when that happened. And to this day, he still sent out messages to our team time. And to me, to this day, that is the coolest thing.
He's awesome. Eric Farmer's the man.
At any camp that I've experienced. But I love that part of it.
Well, that's cool. I like hearing about that kind of stuff, but I want to kind of transition our way into discussing our topic at hand. And we are talking about different events like things like Exposure, because me and Hunter are here at Exposure. We're recording this episode at Exposure. Jeremy is remotely coming in, and it's pretty cool, the technology that we have thanks to the Ministry League, right? Represent. And I wanted to ask the first. There we go. Yeah,
they know we love a good soundboard.
Listen, I need to get my soundboard taken from me. That's gotta happen soon.
Wait. Was there a sound?
Oh yeah.
Oh no!
Can you hear it now?
There we go.
I'm so sad. I'm in an undisclosed location. I can't hear
it. So what do you hope, or when you're planning out an event, like you're wanting to attend Exposure, what are some of the things that you consider when you go into planning for an event like Exposure?
I'll start with that. Planting seeds. I hope seeds are planted in the kids throughout the weekend, whether it's Exposure, whether it's Maywood for the entire week, or whether it's an area-wide retreat or just a retreat by itself. It's planting seeds, because a lot of kids aren't going to completely change at that camp for that weekend. They're going to be on fire for God, and they're going to get reignited. But it's planting those seeds, knowing that as life continues, as I leave Maywood, as I leave Exposure, as I leave whatever camp you're at, and I get home and life gets hard again, it's knowing that no matter what happens, I know where home is, I know where God is, I know where my family is, and I'm going to be that spiritual family. I know where my spiritual family is, and it grows and continues to grow as they get older and continue to grow in their own faith.
Yeah, that's awesome. That idea of planting seeds is kind of the epitome of what we're trying to do when we come on these events. I love that. One of the things that I before I plan out any event, I have goals that I want to accomplish with my ministry. So each year I want to be able to hit these different little goals or hit these different things. And I always consider that on the front end. Somebody will say, hey, do you want to go to this? I've been told about another one called golf that I haven't ever been to. And I've had people say, hey, you should go to golf. And so I'm going to look into that, and I'm going to see what it's about, what they do, how they do things, and see if it lines up with the goals that I'm trying to get. Yeah. And if it does, then we'll plan it out and we'll go. But there's a lot of things that, especially kind of as I'm having kids and my time is really taken up, I have to really consider, hey, is this worth it? Is this worth the trip? And if it's not, I've just started cutting that stuff. We're not just going to go because that's what we've always done, or because that's where my friends are going, or I'm not going to do that anymore. I'm going to go because it reaches the goals that I have set. And if it doesn't, we're not going to go.
Well, that's
what second episode? You're throwing the darts at the dartboard. Are you
throwing
100 of them? Are you finding that one event that's going to benefit every single person?
Correct. Or meet that goal that you have. Yeah. Best meet that goal that you have.
And that's biblical. I mean, you're pruning away what is inhibiting, so that there can be new growth, or there can be good growth.
Ooh, I like that. Yep. Very cool.
Very
demure.
So what about, let me ask you this, what about speakers for events? Are you coming in for, I know Exposure, well, we've had a fantastic lineup. What does that look like for y'all, for maybe retreats, but also just other events you go to?
So for me, I would say I want to go to those kind of things because I want my kids to experience, more dynamic speakers, people that they haven't heard before, people that maybe offer a different way of thinking about something that may challenge what they've always thought and makes them kind of
Yeah.
get outside of their normal box, to make them stretch and grow a little bit. So I'm looking for that when we go to something like, to Uplift, or we go to Winterfest, or we go to, EYC, or to Maywood, or anything. I want, there to be people that make our students stretch and grow.
Right.
So
Yeah. I'm always looking. That was one of the things that I thought was like pretty neat about EYC is that they had people that our kids had never heard before. And one of the
yeah,
big things, like the spiritual challenge, we had a spiritual challenge class, and I was like, oh, I know this guy and I know this guy. Y'all should go to those classes. Well, we got there, and when we got there, they were full, and they were like, if all the seats are taken, you need to move to the next one. And so we moved to the next one. I was like, oh, this one's full too. I know these two guys, and I didn't know the other guys. And we went into those classes, and I told one of our volunteers, I was like, dude, Bradley, I'm glad that we got pushed into this class because it was awesome. I don't remember the dude's name even, but man, it was Eric Gray.
Yeah,
Dude, he killed it. It was awesome. It was so good. And I had not ever heard him speak before, so I wasn't really looking for him. And our kids went in and they were like, that was so good. And so I'm thankful for that. That was really neat.
Well, and Matt Miller this weekend. A
Oh,
lot of the
he's awesome,
kids
man.
in our area, of course, we know Matt, but a lot of the kids in our area have never heard Matt speak before.
That's
And if
true.
you haven't heard Matt speak before, he has a different dynamic of what he brings to the table,
Mm-hmm.
and what that is authenticity. And I love Matt Miller for how he speaks and how real he is about that. And those kids loved that last night.
Yeah, our
I,
kids
I
loved
want
it.
to I want to say that we heard him maybe at EU this year. I think he spoke at
Yeah, he
EU.
spoke at
Yeah,
EU.
EU.
And my kids, came away kind of feeling the same way after that lesson. They were really impacted by kind of what he brought to the table. So
And each one of these experiences and like the things that we do, the events that we go to and all that, each one of them is different in certain ways, and they all bring something different to the table. And so I wanted to kind of talk a little bit about that because some of them will have, like EYC has like a breakout session type thing where they do team time, and then we'll also have a spiritual challenge session, and it kind of allows for people to go to where they want to go, wherever it is. They can go see this speaker or that speaker about this topic and that topic. It's kind of like EU, and EU
yeah,
does the same thing. They have different classes that you can choose from
I've
with
heard
different
Legacy
teachers.
is also very similar
It
at
is,
Faulkner.
yeah. Legacy at Faulkner is very similar. So
some
is that something that you consider when you're planning out these events and like, oh, I love the way that they do this, or they don't have this, so we're going to refrain from going, or is that something that you consider, Jeremy, whenever you're
yeah.
planning these
So
things?
I know you've been to Uplift as well, Hunter. I don't remember if
Yes,
you've said if you've been there before or
I have
not, but
not.
there might be some similarities with that and Freed's Horizons Camp. But one of the things that Uplift does really well is they have like multiple different ways in which students are interacting with different groups. So there's a portion of the day where they're only with, if they're a seventh grader, they're only with seventh and eighth graders, or there's a portion of the day where they're with
Yes.
1/4 of the seventh graders and eighth graders together. Then there's a session where I think they called it God Time a few years ago. Now it's called Light Groups, I think.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
Michael and I did Light Group Directors last year together, where they pair you up in like maybe a group of 10 to 15 students, but you're with kids from all over the country. They're not necessarily from your local area or from your local youth group. And
Yeah.
so these kids get to experience and engage in conversations with kids from all over the place that have different life experiences and different youth ministry backgrounds. And what was really cool is those conversations that open up and these kids make connections and build relationships. I love that kind of stuff. Michael and I actually had a kid reach out to us, what about a week and a half, 2 weeks ago, that
Yeah.
just shot us a text message and said, "Hey, just wanted you guys to know how much the conversations that we had in Light Group meant to me." And that was such an impactful kind of thing for her and for us as well.
Yeah.
Well, I want people to realize that and really the ministers that are here at these events, it is kind of stressful to be here. You have a lot of kids here, and you're taking care of a lot of kids, and you're trying to do all these things. But realize the impact that you're going to have at things like that, or the team time, where you have that
Yeah.
more one-on-one time with a lot of people.
Yeah.
That they're going to remember you for a long time.
Yeah. And that's something, when I pick out interns, I kind of consider that because these interns are going to have a big impact on people. And I do
Yes.
that, I bring up interns in this conversation because there's interns that are visiting with churches and this is their first interaction with everybody. And a lot of times that's what I'll do. We've got a retreat coming up in February that we're going to be we're going to have our intern come and spend that retreat with us, and that'll be really cool to get to know them. But making those connections, and I love that my kids are getting to experience a connection with another youth minister from a different place, has
Right.
different experiences and different things to offer, and he's going to be able to help us. And so same with interns, you're getting people from different places, have different experiences that are bringing something different that you're not able to bring. And so
Yeah,
that's always
Michael,
a really good thing to
I
consider.
look forward to when we get together at night for the group Devo at the end of the day at Uplift to hear what they heard from a different perspective that's not me. I
Exactly.
love hearing that stuff, man.
I do too, man. So we do these things. We do these events like Exposure and CYC, EYC, Gulf was and all that stuff. And when we do those things, I always consider how it's different from doing something local, or whether or not it's even worth doing something away from home.
Yeah.
Because I think local ministry is very important. And when we go on a trip, I want it to make a difference. I don't want them to just go away thinking this is the same deal, but something different. Is that something that y'all consider whenever you're planning? Like, what are some of the things that you consider when you're going somewhere instead of just staying local?
Yeah, so our two main events is of course Exposure Youth Camp and then Challenge Youth Conference CYC. Pigeon Forge. It's very similar, or I'd say similar. It's in the similar location to Winterfest. So
Yeah.
Jeremy, I'll talk to you on this as well.
Sure.
They're both different because here at Exposure we're in Huntsville, Alabama.
Yeah.
It took us 30 minutes to get here. It's sweet. I love it. It's right here. But this is that time where these kids get to grow closer with other people and grow closer with their faith because they have these challenge sessions, because they have this more one-on-one time. But then my goals, what Michael was saying, my goals shift as you look at CYC because that's farther away. You're spending more time with your youth group. For my goals for that one is that's where the youth group grows closer together.
Yeah.
Yes.
They're closer together is because they all they're sitting with each other on the bus, they're doing all these things, but it's also expensive too.
That's
So you're
right.
trying to also look at all these things and weigh these pros and cons. And if I were to look at it as it's the same as if EYC is where you're growing closer, or you're growing your own spiritual walk, and CYC is the same thing, then maybe that's not the right way to look at it. When you're looking at it as EYC is my focus for that is my kids are growing spiritually, but then CYC is they're growing closer as a youth group.
Yeah.
That's where you see where that goal meets.
Those goals are different. Yeah. And they're similar events, but because one of them's further away and one of them you're staying in a cabin or you're staying in a hotel all together, that forces the kids to interact with each other and brings them closer together.
It's a lot more moving parts, and I'm sure Jeremy would talk on that too. It's a lot more moving parts, and with
Sure.
the price, you really have to see if it's worth it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, the distance factor, honestly, I love a van ride. I hate being the guy that has to drive a van ride every time.
Especially on the way back.
But
I know.
But I love, especially the
Oh,
way
it's the
back's awful. I
worst.
wish I had a sub driver every time on the way home. But the van ride there, I love hearing the kids build that relationship on the way there. They start to make some connections and get a little more comfortable and a little more opened up to each other. And then by the time we get to a cabin, they're ready for some growth together, some community. And it's kind of like a little wolf pack, once we get to wherever we're going, like we're all walking together to the convention center, or we're all walking together to go eat somewhere, or we're all meeting at a certain time at the tunnel to go into the convention center. And there's this this real group camaraderie that happens on those kind of trips that you don't really get at a smaller local retreat, I feel like.
And I know, like, the first time I've done something like that, I didn't expect that. And so, like, that's something that you can plan for. If you're a new youth minister and you're like, what should I do this? You should, I'm just telling you, prepare for moments like that and pay attention when those moments happen. Don't lose sight of that, because you're missing out on a huge part of your ministry when you're not paying attention to stuff like that, and really try to cultivate those relationships. So far, this is my first time being here. Our kids have come several
enjoy
years.
it?
Loving it. Yeah. The thing that I love most about it is that team time thing, because my kids are interacting with kids from all over the world. I say all over the world, but all over the place. They're from different states and all that stuff, different churches, and they're interacting with them and they're building relationships with them. And I love that. I remember my experience of going to Freed Hardeman, and I didn't really know anybody, or at least I didn't know that I was going to know anyone. And then when I got there and I started walking around campus, I started seeing people from the area events that I had gone to. You know, I'd see some people from Beltline. I saw somebody from a church that we went on a mission trip with when I was like 16 or 17. And I was like, hey, that's that dude. I haven't seen that guy in like 5 years, but that's him, you know? And so
Right.
a bunch of like cool things like that. And I want that for my students, you
Those
know?
lifelong connections.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
there was a youth minister that was sick for the first day, so I had to fill in for his team time, and I loved it. And the cool thing about that was there were 3 girls in that team time that go to the Beaufort Church of Christ where I grew up.
Oh,
So I had
awesome.
this connection with them of like we knew the same
Yeah.
people and all this. And one of them was like, "You didn't go there." I was like, "I promise I went there." Like I was pulling out like pictures on my phone of like times I'd been at Beaufort, and I was like,
Yeah.
"See, like this is me." And it like so you have that connection as well, and it's just really neat. And you never know who you're going to see later on in life as well.
Yeah. And
We
when
had,
you
we
do
had a
go to,
moment.
oh, go ahead.
Oh,
Go ahead, Jeremy.
I was going to say we had a moment with our light group last year, Michael and I, where there was a girl that her dad was a member or attendee where I used to work in Tennessee, and I haven't seen her since she was like a little kid, you know, a little tiny kid, and she was at Uplift this year as a 9th grader, and we got to, you know, work alongside her and do ministry together with her, and it was really cool. And so I sent a picture to her dad. I was like, "Look who I ran into." It was
Yeah,
such a
yeah.
cool thing.
And the girl that we were referring to that me and you were talking about, that was a girl that I had worked with at a work camp that I had done stuff with, and I had like recognized her, and I was like, "Hey, I know you. Like, we went to church at this place." And she was like, "How do you know me?" You know, like, and then she was like, "Oh, I know who you are. I actually do." Yeah, and that was kind of how we made that connection. But before we like close out and everything, I wanted to just make sure if you're planning for one of these events, make sure that your board and your rooming and housing or whatever is covered.
Yeah.
Make sure that you have food and stuff and a way to provide the food, but make sure that that's covered because you can go, you know, you've got Airbnb, you've got Verbo, you can call cabin places, you can call hotels, and make sure that that's communicated with your church before you go. So say we're going to be staying in hotels and we will be eating in our hotel room, or we'll be eating at restaurants the whole week, or whatever it is,
I,
however you plan it out. Make sure that that's
let,
communicated.
let me offer something that seems obvious to me, but it apparently is not. Kids need to understand that they're going to have to probably share a queen size bed with somebody.
Oh
Like,
yeah, yeah.
we
That's
got to
part
a
of that
cabin
being
a couple of
connected.
years
You do
ago.
not get your own hotel room. No.
Yeah.
We got to a cabin at Gatlinburg one year, and these girls were so upset that they had to share a room. And I was like, "Did you think there was 45 individual rooms? I mean, what'd you think? Come on."
Yeah.
I love that. Well,
Well,
and two, I guess my advice for that is if you're looking to join a new event like Exposure, CYC, or Winterfest, whatever that event is, ask your elders if you can go to it, just you and your wife, or if you're not married, just you, and go check it out, or go with another
Yeah.
church or whatever that might be, just to kind of get a feel for what it is and to see what it looks like. And for here, we talked about the hotels and things. For Exposure, everything's covered. You
yeah,
pay one flat fee and you have your hotel, you have all this, you have your food for nearly every meal except for one, and a t-shirt and everything else that you need. So kind of look into that, and also use other youth ministers as resources. If I
definitely.
know that Michael goes to, or if Michael knows that I go to golf and he's looking into golf, he's more than welcome to call me and say, "Hey, what do you think about it? What do I need to have planned? Where's the best place to stay?"
Hmm.
I did that with Sam for this year. I'm taking my seniors to golf, and I called. Sam was my first person I called to ask, "Hey, what do I need to expect? What does it look like? What kind of free time do we have? Where do you stay, and
Sam
where do I need to stay?"
Yeah,
Sam did the same thing with us for Winterfest a few years ago. He kind of tagged along with Coleman and just checked it out, stayed at the
Mhm.
cabin with us, visited, and hung out for our group devotionals, and just kind of got a feel for it before we went back and pitched it to his group.
yeah, yeah. Well, we're really glad that you guys have tuned in today. This has been a lot of fun. I like the little setup here. This is
It's
really
awesome.
cool.
So
So
Yeah, thanks, Caleb.
to Ministry League for setting all this up,
yeah, for
especially for
sure.
this event.
Yeah, this is a great event. Highly encourage you to bring your kids to EYC. For me, the only downside of EYC was just where it's at in the, it's between Christmas and New Year's, and
Rough
sometimes that
time.
can interfere with some family things. But outside of that, man, there's nothing that I can
Oh,
give.
it's
No way that I
awesome.
can tell anything bad about it. I've loved every second of it. It's been a really, really great event, and
Well,
so
with the
I'm
year
sad
ahead,
I'm not there.
you can change some family events around and move
yeah,
them around to where it fits it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, do y'all have anything else you want to talk about before we close out?
Man, I just like that hat you got right there. I'm real jealous.
They gave it to me for doing team time. Do team time. That's great.
Oof.
Well, thank y'all so much for listening. We're really glad that you're here with us, that you spend time listening to us just have fun. And like when we just get together, this is what we kind of talk about. We don't, it's like we just get to record it and let y'all listen to our conversation, which is kind of
really
cool.
Talk about anything else. Like we'll talk fantasy football, but other than that, it's mainly youth ministry conversation.
Yeah, that's basically what we do. Me and Jeremy talk about some crazy stuff. Me and Hunter talk about some crazy stuff on a different level. And so, but yeah, it's pretty fun. Well, we appreciate you guys listening.
Love you guys. Thanks for getting me in here. I know it's a weird setup, but I appreciate it.
Thank Caleb Sampson with the ministry.
Hold on, real quick. We want Jeremy to promise us that he's going to bring a group here next year live, so there is proof.
I pitched it out to the whole congregation today. I did the year-end highlights, and I told them that we are planning to go next December to Exposure.
Okay,
fantastic. That's what we like to hear. Yeah. So you heard it here first. Coleman Youth Group is going to be at Exposure Youth Camp next December.
Yeah. So now everybody's going to be here. Like we're going to have like a billion.
We'll see.
Here. It's going to be great. Well, thank y'all so much for listening. We've got a website. Go to www.oksyouthministry.com. Go to theministryleague.com. That's a great website too. You've got a lot of resources there, a lot of cool stuff. Follow like and subscribe and leave a comment. It definitely helps the algorithm when you rate us and review us. Spotify boosts it up and makes it available to people that listen to podcasts. So it's a really good thing if you do that. We're just very appreciative that you tune in with us, that you listen to us, and you care about supporting the show and supporting us. And we're grateful for you, praying for you. We hope that you're doing great things and stick it out. Keep it in there, keep working. And we hope that your ministry is blessed.
Thanks for joining us today in the important conversation of youth ministry. Go and follow us on Instagram and check out oksyouthministry.com for more information about our upcoming episodes. We'll be dropping a new episode every Wednesday morning, and we look forward to talking with you again next week. And hey, it's okay to be the OKS Youth Minister around, but let's all strive to be the